Experience Karen Hunter
in a completely different way.
Karen Hunter is awesome. The podcast.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're going to love me in Karen Hunter is Awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of The Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is Awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed. All right, let's take a call. 866-801-8255. And I applaud your courage, Casey in Alabama. You're on with Karen Hunter. That's me and Kevin Powell. Welcome.
Hey, Miss Hunter. Thanks for taking my call. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. The reason I'm calling is, first of all, I love your show. It took me a while for your show to grow on me, but you hit so many points daily as I listen to your show. Everything is just hits home. But the thing is, your question today was, did we vote or did we not vote? And I sadly did not vote. Me and my wife moved out of Las Vegas to Denver to Alabama, and it's just the culture that is just so shockingly that we moved there. I'm a truck driver. I worked in the oil field, built up a lot of money, put my family to a very nice neighborhood, very nice community, one of the best school systems in the country. But that neighborhood, well, my wife, they were excited about voting, and when they went down to the polls to vote, they were surrounded by Trump supporters, people, husbands, wives, kids, everyone supporting Trump. And it was just too shocking for them to it was just a huge culture shock for them. I kind of knew what we would be going into because Alabama is my home, but I didn't know it would be that much of a shock. So I just have not voted. I didn't vote the last election, and I encourage them not to go through that anymore because of just the atmosphere. It's like, wow, really?
So let me ask you this, because yesterday I was talking when somebody tried to come for me. I was talking about, I'm thinking about where we land. Like, I want to be actively participating in where we move here, maroon spaces and creating them, places where we can live in peace and harmony, build self-defense first and foremost, but farming and all of that in a space where we can also learn around a tree with a great educator. So I was thinking about that, and I was talking with a brother yesterday who's out there doing a lot of things, and he was like, well, I got some land in Mississippi, and I was like, yeah, that's a no for me, and I don't want to be surrounded by people that hate me, hate us, and that there's a government that won't protect us. Right? Didn't protect Emmett Till. He was in the ground. They had buried that bloated body of that beautiful human being and threw him away like he was trash. It took his mama from Chicago to dig him up, no matter what and all of his family had to leave. All of them. If you read The Trees, we've had the author on, you will be shocked at the amount of backlash to cover up a killing. If you think about Tulsa, they terrorize those people after they burned them to the ground to not utter a word about what happened. You have a woman who's 110 years old who still sleeps sitting up because of the fear. She didn't want to tell her children or grandchildren what happened to her community in Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, because they threatened to kill them. I'm not moving into a place so I understand that, but why would you move? School systems, and we're going to have to re-examine everything now, right? Oh, what looks like a good school system may not be good for our babies if it's surrounded by people who don't care about human beings and human life in brown bodies. So, KC, are you staying there because that's your home, or are you going to make a different choice because being there scared to vote?
So much. My family hates it. They hate it so much that that's my home. That's where I was born and raised. People from Alabama, people from the South in general, we will fight to the death for what's ours and what we believe in and calling it home.
But
sadly,
you didn't, though. You didn't even vote.
But
hold on, Casey. Hold on. But you didn't fight to the death.
I don't see how it could change. I don't see how it could make a change. I don't see how my vote, especially somewhere in the South. I've even seen it out west, whereas in Vegas, you have all of these Mexican people that will support Trump. And this was in the early 2000s. I'm like, Wow, do you know what that's going to, well, for the Republican Party, do you know what that's going to mean for your people? I don't see how my voice can change anybody and how they feel. So I just don't see the point in even caring.
Uh,
Nothing but me and my family.
well, Casey, that's your name. Is that right, sir? This is Kevin Powell. How are you?
I'm good, sir.
I'm one generation removed from the South, but my mother and my entire family's from the low country of South Carolina, midway between Savannah, Georgia, and Hilton, South Carolina. And my mother has shared with me, all the many experiences that she had being born in the 1940s in South Carolina and why she decided to migrate up to New Jersey, where I was born and raised. But a couple things, were stuck with me. One is that I should never give up my voice no matter what. And so from the time I was a child, I was taught that when I get 18, I have to vote. Even if it's symbolic, because of all the things that our ancestors went through, who were either denied the right to vote or literally went into hostile territory to attempt to vote. You know the images, you've seen them. If y'all, all you have to do is watch Eyes on the Prize. It's free on YouTube. The 13, 14 episodes
Karen
of it.
brought, Karen brought it up. It's a great show. I'm watching. I haven't continued it due to the amount of time I have to drive, but I'm watching that. I'm watching that show as well.
He's
And
watching Eyes on the Prize 3. Kevin's talking about
Three.
the original
one and two, yeah,
3
and
on YouTube, which should probably be the entree into.
that's right. Yes, yes, yes. And I just think, sir, people, we have a right to live anywhere we want. I understand what you're saying. I do get that because I would never say to my relatives who live in South Carolina to this day, the bulk of us are still there, you should just leave, but I do think we have a responsibility to organize. The thing that strikes me about the civil rights movement, a huge part of it happened in the South, but Black folks were organizing. They were resisting, as you know, all over Alabama. We just celebrated the 60th anniversary in the last week or so of some of the Montgomery Historic March. You know what I'm talking about. And that's the work that has to happen, because otherwise, why be there if we're just going to let all this stuff happen around us? No matter, it could be New York, it could be Alabama, and you just don't do anything. I think we actually end up spitting in the faces, the graves of our ancestors when we don't have any form of organizing whatsoever. You know what I mean? I think that's important to say. It's like, why? It's almost like we're just surrendering. And what ends up happening, it starts to feel like pre-civil rights, where we just kind of accepted it in many spaces. And that's just unacceptable to me. What's the point of talking about Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, Ida B. Wells, Garvey, Malcolm, Martin, Ella, Fannie, all those folks, all these different organizations, all these different movements, if we're just going to sit there and say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. And because also what ends up happening, you know, people in our community get subjected to the most horrific stuff. My mother, for example, is a dark-skinned Black woman. She's a beautiful Black person. I think all of us are beautiful, but I know for a fact, because there was very little resistance to the ugliness that she experienced as a child, she didn't think she was a beautiful Black girl. You feel what I'm saying? And so she came of age with all kinds of notions that she was just going to be the help. Darker was not attractive. Certain body types were not attractive. You know what I'm saying here, sir, because there was no resistance whatsoever, you know what I mean, at all. And I'm not with that. I'm not with just, going into the world and acting as if there's nothing we can do to counter this stuff. It doesn't have to be something, it doesn't have to be a big march, protest, anything like that. But in your own way, if that was me, I'm going with my head up high right to that voting pool. Even if my vote may not sway the vote locally in that area, just on a basic level, I'm going to walk like Janie and Their Eyes Are Watching God by Zero Hurston with pride through that community. Like my life matters just as much as anyone else's. And I feel like that's how they get any people who have been marginalized, who've been oppressed, who have been hurt. They make you erase yourself and make you just like you don't matter. And I'm not with that. I'm not with that, especially because I spent the first 18 years of my life, sir, thinking like that. Like I simply did not matter. My voice didn't matter. I'm never going back to that. And I'm just saying, please think about it like that. And what we're doing in terms of our ancestral history, if we don't look at our history and say, well, if they could do it, if they could do certain things. I'm a first generation college student, sir, because my mother fought for me. She only has a grade school education, but she was like, you know what, you can do something. You know what I mean? That was instilled in me at a very early age. Look what they came from. My mother came from nothing, sir. Nothing. Nothing. How dare I act as if there's nothing that's possible for me?
Based on
Casey,
me having my family, yes, ma'am.
no, I just wanted to thank you because I asked for you to call, so I don't want you to feel berated or badgered today. I want to thank you for
Well,
having the courage to pick, because that was courageous to pick up.
Yes.
call this number on these airwaves. And I know that you're part of this family, and I get that you are probably doing exceedingly more than anybody could imagine, taking care of your family, standing up
Right.
on business,
Yes.
getting up every day. Driving a truck is not an easy
Yeah.
job. Shout out to all of the mother truckers out there, because you guys make it possible for us to have food and things,
That's right.
everything, right? It's a valuable thing. And you move to an area where your children can have a quote unquote better life. But I'm asking this question: what is better in a world such as this? What is a better life? Now that
I don't know, Miss
once you
Hunter.
buy that house, hold on one second. Once you buy that house, you've now invested and you've spent money, and it's not as easy to just pick up and move someplace else. But you're also instilling a sense of fear in your children that all we need is to buckle under terrorism, because that's what that is. Those white folks showing up with their red and their hats and their MAGA and their Trump trucks, and they're trying to terrorize people.
That's it. And Casey, I love you, brother. I love everyone who I've ever heard on this show, because I think this show is so important. This network is so important. This channel is so important. And honestly, what Karen just said, I echo. You're a father. I didn't have a father. My father was actually a truck driver just like you. He wasn't there. God bless you for being there. But I'm also saying, hey, there's even more. If we're just willing to dig a little bit deeper and figure out what Karen is saying, what can I do here? You know what I'm saying? To make sure this space is safe for me and my family, but also that everyone knows that's around me, my family members, blood relatives, that, you know what, we should never erase ourselves in spite of everything that's happening. Don't let these folks intimidate us. Don't let them bully us. I'm not with that. That's all I'm saying.
If you have one more question, do you have a community besides your immediate family? And I mean, I know you have some relatives there, but is there like a coalition of folk that have your
That
back?
would be nice. That would be nice, but I don't. It's just me and my wife and daughter.
Mm,
Wow.
mm.
All right, I hear you. I hear
I
you.
understand. I understand.
Come on north. Not all north is not good. I mean, there are places and pockets of New York that are horrific, and there are places in Jersey that are horrific and racist. If you go, I won't give
I
all
ride
the
through there all the
exits.
time. I ride through there
Yeah.
all the time. Some of those small towns are just as worse as
Yes.
places.
Yeah.
I'm
But
actually.
Casey, I don't need to know where you at exactly, because that's not important. But are you somewhere in proximity of Selma, Montgomery, Birmingham, or Huntsville? Because I've been to all those places. Have you been?
I'm
Are
right
you?
between Birmingham and Montgomery. I'm right between there and the way out, way out.
But I think that's where you find community in some of the bigger cities. I mean, just Birmingham, Montgomery, and my email is kevin@kevinpowell.net, kevin@kevinpowell.net. I know a lot of folks in both those places. So if I can be helpful in helping to connect you to communities, I don't want to just talk or berate, as Karen said. I agree with you, Karen, but we also need to offer some solutions and some connections. So I'm willing to do that if you want to email me for some suggestions of folks to connect with in either of those cities. Is that cool?
Yes, sir. That's cool. Kevin at.
kevinpowell.net. Yes, sir.
Okay, got it.
That's the beauty of traveling, Karen, is that you may end up meeting people all over the place, and you're like, oh, here's communities, pockets of people in all these different places. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Casey, as another Powell, Adam Clayton Powell would say, keep the
Yes,
faith. Keep the faith.
yes,
We're gonna get through this, and it's going to require community. He is very vulnerable out there with his wife and his daughter,
yes.
surrounded by these folk. I had to go. Somebody was doing work on my house, and he wanted me to see some work that he did on somebody else's house, and he gave me
Mm,
the address, and I was like, it was in Jersey. I was like, one of them once you get past like exit 140 on the Jersey, on the Garden State Parkway, 135, so I was like, okay, so I'm there, and I'm
mm.
riding through, and this is before the election, and Trump on the lawns.
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah,
and I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't
yeah,
feel good. Arrive at this man's home, big American flag, not necessarily a Trump flag, but I was like, I don't want to I would never want to feel like that to be. Do
yeah,
you understand? Like when you come home, it's not just behind your door and lock your door. It's your neighborhood. I walk my neighborhood,
yeah,
my neighborhood
yeah,
spaces, and I'm sure not everybody is, rah rah for the people, but it's overwhelmingly rah rah. I feel real comfortable, as I
mm,
move about the cabin, And because when you come home at night, you shouldn't be anxious about your neighbors. And if something were to go down, if there's some sort of martial law or civil unrest, who has your back? Like, we need
Safety.
that. Do you have a plan?
That's the word that's come up a lot in my travels the last few weeks. It's like, where do you feel safe? And this has come from Black folks. This has come from folks who are from immigrant families. This has come from folks who I know who are queer, folks of different groups, women of all backgrounds. It's come up a lot. Where do I feel safe? Can I feel safe? And I think that's all that, if we focus on Black folks a second, that's what we've all wanted. That's why I understand Brother Casey's point. Like, it's him and his wife and his daughter. I would never say go out there and protest, sir. You didn't hear that come out of my mouth. You know what I mean? I was simply talking about voting, because I understand the safety issue is real, because people have been emboldened. It's not just all the hats and shirts and merchandise that's popped up more than ever, and these Trump flags and stuff like that. But people are out here saying and trying. Me and my wife were at a queer couple house the other day in California. People think it's a blue. No, there's pockets of Trump stuff everywhere. And they said people are actually targeting gay bars and stuff like that. And like, this is what people are worried about. Like, are folks going to now come after us? Because you mentioned Emmett Till earlier. People think that that's just in the past, or Tulsa's just in the past. I believe the language is creating this environment where people are going to be so emboldened that they think they can do anything to folks that they have considered as other. And that's what we're talking about here. You know what I mean?
Experience Karen Hunter
in a completely different way.
Karen Hunter is awesome. The podcast.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're gonna love me in Karen Hunter is Awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is Awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power, a 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed.